I think it's fair to say that I've done a pretty big deep dive into squatting over the last 6 years. I've really dedicated myself, and I can see that, a lot of my thinking has revolved around this simple freaking exercise. I realize it's simple, but it's not freaking easy to work out, I can tell you that much. I'm not the world's smartest man. I'm not somebody that's got a freaking PhD in physics or whatever. I'm not a physicist. I'm not the most intelligent man, but I'm not also the dumbest man. And so, to give yourself 5-6 years into something as simple as that, and you think, how the hell did you not work this out earlier? I don't know. Maybe Einstein could work it out and be twice as strong as me, after 5 years of training. I don't know. Somebody with that much brain power and freaking computing power, maybe he could work out a lot of different things. But if you're not a Tesla, if you're not a freaking Einstein, you're just a regular guy, maybe it takes about 10-15 years for you to work this shit out. I don't know. I'm happy. I'm happy that I have all this experience behind me, that I've worked out what works for my body, what doesn't work for my body. And along the way, I've done a lot of different exercises along the way to try and support this squatting, focus of mine for such a long time. And I've blasted a lot of freaking exercises over the years, man. I've done exercises every single day. I used to do like 20 sets of 10 as warm-up for my deadlift, with the deadlift to try and warm up the hips so the squat doesn't hurt me. All sorts of stuff. And I used to do that daily for like a week or two in a row to see if that's going to work it out. In recent times, I've done a lot of talking about rowing, whether it's barbell rowing or incline rowing, or what I call chest-supported rowing. And I feel like that exercise has really become, I guess you could call it a somewhat of a focus as well, an obsession of mine, because I've kind of worked out that it's such a great supporting movement for the squat. And not just the squat, basically anything that you freaking want to do in terms of strength. And so I've done a lot of it. I've done barbell, I've done, sets of 10, sets of 20. I've done pronated grip, supinated grip, neutral grip, wide, narrow, all sorts of stuff. And, after a bunch of time, you work out what works, what doesn't work. Or you work out how the body feels. And you can't really use one session to, come to some serious conclusions, but 10, 15, 20 sessions, 6 months, a year, and you can't start to kind of realize what's going on. Obviously, I haven't done 5-6 years of, rowing every day or anything like that, but you kind of start to develop an appreciation of what this is about. And the more I do it, the more I've come to the conclusion that when you keep your elbows close to your sides, that the more it becomes a lat, which is whatever. That's a sexy little thing to know. There are more lats when you keep your elbows together. But for me, I feel like that translates better to what I'm trying to do with the squat and the deadlift and the bench. It seems like the lats get a lot of stretch when you basically rowing with your neutral grip, elbows tucked to your side. There's a lot of stretch of the lat and there's a lot of contraction of the lat. And so the lat gets really pumped up. Like right now, I'm talking to you, I'm really pumped up in the lats. Sure, I feel the traps as well from doing the pronated grip or elbows out rowing. But nothing gives me a feeling of strength and sureness about my posture, strength, a feeling of that stacked feeling, like when you have a pair of lats that are pumped up and on the map. When you have a pumped up set of lats, they're in your mind, you feel like you got the invisible lat syndrome, you know what I mean? Like you're walking around with your hands freaking splayed to the side. But that also comes with this like confidence. That comes with this proud chest. And what does proud chest mean? Well, it basically means thoracic extension. It means that you're more resilient to flexion. And why is that important? Well, you don't want to have a flexed upper back. It's okay to have a thoracic flexion, much more okay than lumbar. But you want to resist that flexion as much as possible. So when you're deadlifting, you can round a little bit on your upper back, but you don't want it to crumble with 100 kilos. Okay, sure, let it crumble with 250 kilos, but not a freaking 100. So build that upper back. And part of that is, I feel like lats. I don't know. I feel like lats, when they're pumped up, my chest sticks out. And when my chest sticks out, I'm in good posture automatically. I don't know whether that's just me or a lot of you guys feel that way. I know the lats, the way they insert, into the humerus, they also internally rotate the shoulder. So they kind of contribute to that rounded shoulder thing. But for me, when I have pumped up lats, especially doing rows, I feel like my chest sticks out. And that's good for everything. That's good for the squat. That's good for the deadlift, and that's good for the bench press. So think about how you posture yourself for the bench press. A proud chest. You stick your chest out. So right now I'm doing 7 sets of pronated, 7 sets of 10 pronated, 7 sets of 10 neutral grip chest supported rows. 14 sets today. That's a lot, isn't it? Now I'm going to have a week off and let all of that recover and then hit it again. So 14 working sets. I know some people say you can do up to 20 sets, 25 sets or back and, blah, 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 dispersed, through many different exercises. I don't do any vertical rowing. I've made that, or vertical pulling. I've made a bunch of videos about that. I want to stack all of my chips into the rowing, horizontal rowing. And I could be wrong about that, but right now I'm finding it a groove and it's really working well for me. It's giving me this confidence and it's really working for me. So I've, for the last year or two, I've really, really become a believer of the rows. But if you want to dissect that a little bit further, by far the superior version is, arms tucked in, elbows tucked in, neutral grip rowing. It's special, man. Nothing hits my lats like that. When it's chest supported, your lower back is taking a chill break. That's really good because you can save it for the squats and the deadlifts. I'm going to continue to do pronated, but my God, I've been thinking all day today, and I've not done this for 10 or so days because of the sickness and whatever, probably even longer now. And so now I've come back, and so like a lot of that is, fatigue has washed away, and I'm hitting it. I feel like I haven't hit it for a couple of months. And once again, I'm being reminded even strongly now because I've kind of detrained in my upper back. When it comes to rowing, it's reminding me really, really strong today that, oh my God, the neutral grip, elbows tucked in, is by far the most superior one for you. And so do I stick in more volume there and take away some of the volume from the pronated? Something to think about. When you feel something is contributing more, it only makes sense to give it more resources to see what's going to happen. So it makes me think. It's very, very hard to play with something when you have something that is moving really well. Squat is moving well. I really don't want to add another freaking back day somewhere later in the week. I don't want to interrupt with anything like that, but it's definitely making me think twice about it. To add a bit more sets into this session, I'm exhausted. I'm really, really exhausted. I think 14 sets is way, way too much for one session, let alone adding more. So the only way I could add more work into the tucked in rowing would be to add a second session somewhere in the week. How do I do that? I'm not sure. Maybe I'll experiment with that. But right now, I'm going to stick with the same formula I've got going. And hopefully I can hit 227 in the squat in, this week or next week or whatever. However, whenever it happens, whenever I feel fresh. But these are the thoughts that I have. So I've got a deep dive in squatting for a bunch of years. Now I'm kind of deep diving into rowing. Not all pulling is made equal. I'm not saying one's better than the other for you. But for me, I'm feeling one is better than the other for me and my goals and my body and my weaknesses. And so I'm kind of deep diving into that. And it's not just about shifting weight. It's how you contract it. For instance, when I'm rowing this, I'm not rowing to my armpits. I'm trying to row to my hips, like pulling low. And that really puts the lat on that really, really engages the lat. But when you start to row up to your throat or up to the chest or the armpit, as I call it, then it becomes more of a bicep-y thing and you kind of feel the lat disengage for parts of that movement. But when you row low, my Lord, it's all lats and it's a beautiful feeling. You walk around and you feel like, damn, I feel strong in my upper back. I feel like I could squat more, deadlift more, bench more. But that's only, for me at least, it only happens when I'm rowing low into the groin, basically. And with these machines, it's a lot better to do that than with the barbell. With a barbell, bent over barbell, like you feel like you're wrestling with this thing. I feel like machines are great to kind of focus on that rowing low. Anyway, I'll continue to experiment. I'll continue to think, fine tune. Even the rowing now is becoming really interesting to me. I think they are a key piece in my training, and I really want to even get better at them. And it's not just about shifting weight. I really want to engage the muscle correctly. Appreciate you guys. I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.